Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Mukam karoti vachalam pangam langate girim yatpadamam vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Harihi Ho. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratishe Namaha. We continue our reading from I clicked on 9th from Prarthana, and if I open it says Prema Bhakti Chandrika. Maybe it's in both.
But it also says also Song 9.
Sorry?
It also says Lalasa Song 9.
Yeah, I think it is in both. I can just check once here. Prema Bhakti Chandrika. There are just 8 songs, huh? Yeah, no.
These all have the same meter, which is different than the other songs, so it must be a mistake.
Yeah. It is Lalsa from Prarthana only. Yeah. Where did it go? Yeah. Okay.
Oh, do you want to say the prayer to maintain this topic?
May the dancing of Sri Narottama's lotus feet, which is graceful with the melodious sounds of Kartal and Mridangas, and which is sweet with the honey of Lord Gauranga, fulfill the spiritual desires of me, his servant.
Jaya Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Kripa Kuri Sabe Mili Goro Karuna Adhama Patita Janera Nakori Hogri Grina Vedina Samsara Maje Tuya Padasar Pavya Dekinu Mane Gati Nahiyar Sepada Pavarna Ashe Keda Utemone Vyakuri Doya Sada Kori Grandane Kirupe Paibo Kichuna Paisandana Prabhu Lokanartha Pada Nahika Smarana Tumito Doyala Prabhu Chaho Ekabar Nartama Hridayera Uchawandakar. Translation. O Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to you. O Prabhu Nityananda, all glories to you. O Lord Advaita Chandra, all glories to you. O devotees of Lord Gauranga, all glories to you all. I beg all of you to please be merciful to me. Please do not despise or reject this most fallen person who is approaching you all. Your lotus feet are the most valuable thing in this material world. I always see your lotus feet within my mind. I have no other goal. I hope to one day attain your lotus feet, and this causes great pain to arise within my mind. I constantly cry my heart full of suffering. I do not see how I will ever be able to attain your lotus feet. I do not see how I can always remember the lotus feet of Lokanath Goswami, my spiritual master. O Master, if you are at all merciful to me, then please glance upon me one time. Please dispel the darkness in Narottam Dasa's heart.
Jai.
Narottam Das Thakur ki jai. Ato vai kavayo nityam bhaktim paramaya muda vasudeve bhagavati kurvantyatma prasadanim. Certainly, therefore, since time immemorial, all transcendentalists have been rendering devotional service to Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, with great delight, because such devotional service is enlivening to the self.
Sattvam rajastamaiti pragater gunaster yukta parapurusha eka iha siddhate sthiti adye hari vichinti hareti samyak shreyam sitatra khalau sattvatanor niramshu. The transcendental personality of Godhead is indirectly associated with the three modes of material nature, namely passion, goodness and ignorance. And just for the material world's creation, maintenance and destruction, he accepts the three qualitative forms of Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva. Of these three, all human beings can derive ultimate benefit from Vishnu, the form of the quality of goodness. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam madiraye. We are on text number 24. 25. Hare Krishna. One second, Prabhu. Let's start. Yeah. Okay. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः. Text 25. Although there is no difference between am I in the wrong chapter? One second. Canto 3, chapter 2, text 25. Okay, yes. The personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna, being prayed to by Brahma to bring welfare to the earth, was begotten by Vasudev in the womb of the wife Devaki, in the prison of the king of Bhoja. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Although there is no difference between the Lord's pastimes of his appearance and disappearance, the devotees of the Lord do not generally discuss the subject matter of his disappearance. Vidura inquired indirectly from Uddhava about the incident of Lord's disappearance by asking him to relate Krishna Katha or topics on the history of Lord Krishna. Thus, Uddhava began the topics from very beginning of his appearance as the son of Vasudeva and the Devaki in the prison of Kamsa, the king of Bhojas at Mathura. The Lord has no business in the world, but when he is so requested by devotees like Brahma, he descends on the earth for the welfare of entire universe. This is stated in Bhagavad Gita 4.8. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma sanstapnarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Text 26. Thereafter his father, being afraid of Kamsa, brought him to the cow pastures of Maharaj Nanda, and there he lived for 11 years like a covered flame with his elder brother Baladev. Srila Prabhupada's purport. There was no necessity of the Lord's being dispatched to the house of Nanda Maharaj out of fear of Kamsa's determination to kill him as soon as he appeared. It is the business of the Asuras to try to kill the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or to prove by all means that there is no God, or that Krishna is an ordinary human being and not God. Lord Krishna is not affected by such determination of men of Kamsa's class. But in order to play the role of a child, he agreed to be carried by his father to the cow pastures of Nanda Maharaj, because Vasudeva was afraid of Kamsa. Nanda Maharaj was due to receive him as his child, and Yashoda Maiya was also to enjoy the childhood pastimes of the Lord, and therefore fulfill everyone's desire. He was carried from Mathura to Vrindavan just after his appearance in the prison house of Kamsa. He lived there for 11 years and completed all his fascinating pastimes of childhood, boyhood and adolescence with his elder brother Lord Baladev, his first expansion. Vasudev's thought of protecting Krishna from the wrath of Kamsa is part of a transcendental relationship. The Lord enjoys more when someone takes him as his subordinate son who needs the protection of a father than he does when someone accepts him as the Supreme Lord. He is the father of everyone and he protects everyone. But when his devotee takes it for granted that the Lord is to be protected by the devotee's care, it is transcendental joy for the Lord. Thus, when Vasudeva, out of fear of Kamsa, carried him to Vrindavan, the Lord enjoyed it. Otherwise, he had no fear from Kamsa or anyone else. Text 27. In his childhood, the Almighty Lord was surrounded by cowherd boys and calves, and thus he travelled on the shore of Yamuna river, through gardens densely covered with trees and filled with vibrations of chirping birds. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Nanda Maharaj was a landlord of King Kamsa, but because by the caste he was a Vaishya, a member of mercantile and agricultural community, he maintained thousands of cows. It is the duty of the Vaishya to give protection to cows, just as Kshatriyas are to give protection to the human beings. But the Lord was a child. He was put in charge of the cows with his cowherd boyfriends. These cowherd boys were great rishis and yogis in their previous births, and after many such pious births, they gained the association of the Lord and could play with him on equal terms. Such cowherd boys never cared to know who Krishna was, but they played with him as a most intimate and lovable friend. They were so fond of the Lord that at night they would only think of the next morning when they would be able to meet the Lord and go together to the forest for cowherding. The forest on the shore of Yamuna are all beautiful gardens full of trees of mango, jackfruit, apples, guava, oranges, grapes, berries, palm fruit, and so many other plants and fragrant flowers. And because the forest was on the bank of Yamuna, naturally these were ducks, cranes, and peacocks on the branches of the trees. All these trees and birds and beasts were pious living entities born in the transcendental abode of Vrindavan, just to give pleasure to the Lord and his eternal associates like cowherd boys. While playing like a small child with his associate, the Lord killed many demons including Aghasur, Bakasur, Pralambasur and Gardhabhasur. I don't remember which one was this. Although he appeared at Vrindavan just as a boy, he was actually like the cowherd flames of fire. As a small particle of fire can kindle a great fire with fuel, so the Lord killed all the great demons. Beginning from his babyhood in the house of Nanda Maharaj, the land of Vrindavan, the Lord's childhood playground, still remains today, And anyone who visits these places enjoys the same transcendental bliss, although the Lord is not physically visible to our imperfect eyes. 1 second, someone's at the door. Hare Kṛṣṇa. The land of Vrindavan, the Lord's childhood playground, still remains today, and anyone who visits these places enjoys the same transcendental bliss, although the Lord is not physically visible to our imperfect eyes. Lord Chaitanya recommended this land of the Lord as identical with the Lord and therefore worshipable by the devotees. This instruction is taken up especially by the followers of Lord Chaitanya, known as Gaudiya Vaishnavas. And because the land is identical with the Lord, devotees like Uddhava and Vidura visited these places 5,000 years ago in order to direct contact with the Lord, visible or not visible. Thousands of devotees of the Lord are still wandering in these sacred places of Vrindavan, and all of them are prepared themselves to go back home, back to Godhead. Text 28. When the Lord displayed his activities just suitable for childhood, he was visible only to the residents of Vrindavan. Sometimes he would cry and sometimes he would laugh, just like a child. And while so doing, he would appear like a lion cub. Srila Prabhupada's puppet. If anyone wants to enjoy the childhood pastimes of the Lord, then he has to follow in the footsteps of residents like Vraja, like Nanda and Upananda, and other parental inhabitants. A child may insist on having something and cry like anything to get it, disturbing the whole neighborhood, and then immediately after achieving the desired thing, he laughs. Such laughing is enjoyable to the parents and elderly members of the family, so the Lord would simultaneously cry and laugh in this way and merge his devotee parents in the humor of transcendental pleasure. These incidences are enjoyable only by the residents of Vraja like Maharaj, Nanda Maharaj, and not by the impersonalist worshippers of Brahman or Paramatma. Sometimes when attacked in the forest by demons, Krishna would appear struck with wonder, but he looked on them like the cub of a lion and killed them. His childhood companions would also be struck with wonder, and when they came back home, they would narrate the story to their parents, and everyone would appreciate the qualities of their Krishna. One second. And everyone would appreciate the qualities of their Krishna. Child Krishna did not belong only to his parent Nanda and Yashoda. He was the son of all the elderly inhabitants of Vrindavan and the friend of all contemporary boys and girls. Everyone loved Krishna. He was the life and soul of everyone, including the animals, the cows, and the calves. Text 29. Would you like to continue, Prabhu?
I'm happy to. While herding the very beautiful bulls, the Lord, who is the reservoir of all opulence and fortune, used to blow his flute, and thus he enlivened his faithful followers, the cowherd boys. Prabhupada's purport. As he grew to 6 and 7 years old, the Lord was given charge of looking after the cows and bulls in the grazing grounds. He was the son of a well-to-do landholder who owned hundreds and thousands of cows, and according to Vedic economics, one is considered to be a rich man by the strength of his store of grains and cows. With only these two things, cows and grain, humanity can solve its eating problem. Human society needs only sufficient grain and sufficient cows to solve its economic problems. All other things but these two are artificial necessities, created by man to kill his valuable life at the human level, and waste his time in things which are not needed. Lord Krishna, as the teacher of human society, personally showed by his acts that the mercantile community, or the Vaishyas, should herd cows and bulls and thus give protection to the valuable animals. According to Smriti regulation, the cow is the mother and the bull the father of the human being. The cow is the mother because just as one sucks the breast of one's mother, human society takes cow's milk. Similarly, the bull is the father of human society because the father earns for the children just as the bull tills the ground to produce food grains. Human society will kill its spirit of life by killing the father and the mother. It is mentioned herein that the beautiful cows and bulls were of various checkered colors, red, black, green, yellow, ash, etc. And because of their colors and healthy smiling features, the atmosphere was enlivening. So I've heard that when all the cows are coming home at the end of the day in Vrindavan, that it looks like a river of milk because there are so many white cows. But here it's saying that all the cows have many different colors.
Yeah. So I think there can be different herds, Like some herds are of white.
So maybe some are all white, some herds. Yeah, okay, thank you. Over and above all, the Lord used to play his celebrated flute. The sound vibrated by his flute would give his friends such transcendental pleasure that they would forget all the talks of Brahmananda, who is so praised by the impersonalists. These cowherd boys, as will be explained by Shukadeva Goswami, were living entities who had accumulated heaps of pious acts and thus were enjoying with the Lord in person, and were hearing his transcendental flute. The Brahma Samhita confirms the Lord's blowing his transcendental flute. Venum Kvanantam Aravinda Dalaya Taksham Barha Vatam Samasitam Buddhistundaranga Kandarpakoti Kamaniya Visesha Shobham Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Brahmaji said, I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord who plays on his transcendental flute. His eyes are like lotus flowers. He is decorated with peacock plumes, and his bodily color resembles a fresh black cloud, although his bodily features are more beautiful than millions of cupids. These are the special features of the Lord. Text 30. Actually, I just wanted to share really quickly we have the poetic English version of that verse, Venam Kvanantam. Lord Krishna, he of lotus eyes, plays his flute adeptly. A peacock plume makes his monsoon blue body more lovely. He charms a host of cupids with his unequaled beauty. Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami.
Hari Too good. That's too good.
Text 30. The great wizards who were able to assume any form were engaged by the king of Bhoja, Kamsa, to kill Krishna, but in the course of his pastimes, the Lord killed them as easily as a child breaks dolls. Srila Prabhupada's purport. The atheist Kamsa wanted to kill Krishna just after his birth. He failed to do so, but later on he got information that Krishna was living in Vrindavan at the house of Nanda Maharaj. He therefore engaged many wizards who could perform wonderful acts and assume any form they liked. All of them appeared before the child Lord in various forms like Aga, Baka, Putana, Shakata, Trinavarta, Denuka, and Gardaba. Oh, by the way, I did look up Gardabasura. It's a demon that lives in, I think it said, in Taliban forest, in the shape of a donkey. He's mentioned in Nectar of Devotion.
Yeah, I think some other name is mentioned here in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Or maybe there is no name in the chapter.
Anyway, NOD has the name. And they tried to kill the Lord at every opportunity, but one after another, all of them were killed by the Lord as if he were only playing with dolls. Children play with toy lions, elephants, boars, and many similar dolls, which are broken by the children in the course of their playing with them. Before the Almighty Lord, any powerful living being is just like a toy lion in the hands of a playing child. No one can excel God in any capacity, and therefore no one can be equal to or greater than him, nor can anyone attain the stage of equality with God by any kind of endeavor. Jnana, yoga, and bhakti are three recognized processes of spiritual realization. The perfection of such processes can lead one to the desired goal of life in spiritual value, but that does not mean that one can attain a perfection equal to the Lord's by such endeavors. The Lord is the Lord at every stage. When he was playing just like a child on the lap of his mother Yashoda Mai, or just like a cowherd boy with his transcendental friends, he continued to remain God, without the slightest diminution of his six opulences. Thus he is always unrivaled. 31. The inhabitants of Vrindavan were perplexed by great difficulties because a certain portion of the Yamuna were poisoned by the chief of the reptiles, Kaliya. The Lord chastised the snake king within the water and drove him away, and after coming out of the river he caused the cows to drink the water, and proved that the water was again in its natural state. 32. The Supreme Lord Krishna desired to utilize the opulent financial strength of Maharaj Nanda for worship of the cows, and also he wanted to give a lesson to Indra, the king of heaven. Thus he advised his father to perform worship of Go, or the pasturing land, and the cows, with the help of learned brahmanas. Prabhupada's purport. Since he is the teacher of everyone, the Lord also taught his father Nanda Maharaj. Nanda Maharaj was a well-to-do landholder and owner of many cows, and, as was the custom, he used to perform yearly worship of Indra, the king of heaven, with great opulence. This worship of demigods by the general populace is also advised in the Vedic literature, just so people can accept the superior power of the Lord. The demigods are servants of the Lord deputed to look after the management of various activities of universal affairs. Therefore, it is advised in the Vedic scriptures that one should perform yagyas to appease the demigods. But one who is devoted to the Supreme Lord has no need to appease the demigods. Worship of the demigods by common people is an arrangement for acknowledging the supremacy of the Supreme Lord, but it is not necessary. Such appeasement is generally recommended for material gains only. As we have already discussed in the second canto of this literature, one who admits the supremacy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead does not need to worship the secondary demigods. Sometimes, being worshipped and adored by less intelligent living beings, the demigods become puffed up with power and forget the supremacy of the Lord. This happened when Lord Krishna was present in the universe, and thus the Lord wanted to give a lesson to the king of heaven, Indra. He therefore asked Maharaj Nanda to stop the sacrifice offered to Indra and to use the money properly by performing a ceremony worshipping the cows and the pasturing ground on the hill of Govardhan. By this act, Lord Krishna taught human society, as he has instructed in the Bhagavad Gita also, that one should worship the Supreme Lord by all acts and by all their results. That will bring about the desired success. The Vaishyas are specifically advised to give protection to the cows and their pasturing ground or agricultural land instead of squandering their hard-earned money. That will satisfy the Lord. The perfection of one's occupational duty, whether in the sphere of duty to oneself, one's community, or one's nation, is judged by the degree to which the Lord is satisfied. 33. O sober Vidura, King Indra, his honor having been insulted, poured water incessantly on Vrindavan, and thus the inhabitants of Vraj, the land of cows, were greatly distressed. But the compassionate Lord Krishna saved them from danger with his pastime umbrella at the Govardhan hill. Text 34. In the third season of the year, the Lord enjoyed as the central beauty of the assembly of women by attracting them with his pleasing songs in an autumn night brightened by moonshine. Purport. Before leaving the land of cows, Vrindavan, the Lord pleased his young girlfriends, the transcendental gopis, in his Raslila pastimes. Here Uddhava stopped his description of the Lord's activities. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the third canto, second chapter of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, entitled Remembrance of Lord Krishna. Comfortable pausing here, or if you want to go on, would you be able to read?
Maybe just 2 verses to complete the pages. Yeah, first and second. Chapter 3. The Lord's pastimes out of Vrindavan. Shri Uddhava said, thereafter Lord Krishna went to Mathura city with Shri Baladev, and to please their parents they dragged Kamsa, the leader of public enemies, down from his throne and killed him, pulling him along the ground with great strength. Srila Prabhupada's purport: King Kamsa's death was only briefly described here because such pastimes are vividly and elaborately described in 10th canto. The Lord proved to be a worthy son of his parents even at the age of 16 years. Both brothers, Lord Krishna and Baladev, went to Mathura from Vrindavan and killed their maternal uncle, who was given so much trouble to their parents, Vasudeva and Devaki. Kamsa was a great giant, and Vasudeva and Devaki never thought that Krishna and Baladev, would be able to kill such a great and strong enemy. When the two brothers attacked Kamsa on the throne, their parents feared that now Kamsa would finally get the opportunity to kill their sons, whom they had hidden for so long in the house of Nanda Maharaj. The parents of the Lord, due to parental affection, felt extreme danger, and they almost fainted. Just to convince them that they had actually killed Kamsa, Krishna and Baladev pulled Kamsa's body along the ground to encourage them. Text 2. The Lord learned all the Vedas with their different branches simply by hearing them once for his teacher, Sandipani Muni. The Lord learned all the Vedas with their different branches simply by hearing them once from his teacher, Sandipani Muni, whom he rewarded by bringing back his dead son from the region of Yamaloka. Srila Prabhupada's purport: no one but the Supreme Lord can become well versed in all the branches of Vedic wisdom simply by hearing once from his teacher. Nor can anyone bring a dead body back from life and after the soul has already gone to the region of Yamaraj. But the Lord Krishna ventured to the planet of Yamaloka and found the dead son of his teacher and brought him back to his father. As a reward for the instructions received, the Lord is constitutionally well versed in all the Vedas and yet to teach by example that everyone must go to learn the Vedas from an authorized teacher and must satisfy the teacher by service and reward. He himself adopted this system. The Lord offered his services to his teacher Sandipani Muni, and Muni, knowing the power of the Lord, asked something which was impossible to be done by anyone else. The teacher asked that his beloved son who had died be brought back to him, and the Lord fulfilled the request. The Lord is not therefore an ingrate to anyone who renders him some sort of service. The devotees of the Lord who always engage in his loving service are never to be disappointed in the progressive march of devotional service. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jai Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Gurudev. Vancha kalpatarubhescha kripa sindhubhyayo cha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Anant Koti Vaishnavin ki jai. Jagat Guru